It was an ordinary day when Manning set out on his usual route, unaware that his life was about to change in the most unexpected way. As he walked along the familiar streets, a tiny figure caught his eye. A kitten, frail and visibly malnourished, emerged from the shadows. Little did Manning know that this chance meeting would not only warm his own heart, but also capture the attention of millions around the world through his live updates. Manning couldn't help but notice the persistence of the little feline. She trailed behind him, her tiny paws pattering against the pavement as she tried to keep up. Intrigued, he stopped and crouched down to her level. The kitten didn't hesitate. She leaped into his lap as if she had known him all her life. Her fur was dirty, she was alarmingly thin, and tiny fleas dotted her coat, but her eyes sparkled with a hopeful gleam. In that moment, Manning felt an instant connection. It was as if fate had orchestrated this meeting, bringing two souls together who needed each other more than they realized. After spending a few minutes bonding with the kitten, Manning decided it was time to head home. He stood up, expecting the kitten to return to wherever she had come from. Instead, she became visibly anxious, her mews growing louder as if pleading with him not to leave. Each time he started to walk away, she would sprint to catch up, refusing to let him out of her sight. This back and forth continued for about 4 blocks, with Manning stopping every so often to reassure her. Eventually, they reached his front porch. Realizing that the kitten had no intention of leaving his side, Manning opened his front door and allowed her to step inside. She hesitated for a moment before cautiously entering, her eyes wide as she took in the unfamiliar surroundings. Manning headed to the kitchen to pour some water and find something she could eat. Meanwhile, the kitten began to explore her new environment, sniffing at furniture and peering into corners. Despite her curiosity, she seemed more comfortable outside, so after she had her fill, they both settled on the porch. As they sat together, Manning couldn't help but notice the kitten's distinctive white paws, which stood out against her otherwise dark fur. The name Socks instantly came to mind, a fitting moniker for his new friend. However, their time together was cut short when Manning remembered he had plans to meet a friend. He was hesitant to leave Socks alone, but hoped she would stay on the porch until he returned. Before leaving, he placed a soft blanket outside, hoping it would offer her some comfort in his absence. Throughout his outing, Manning couldn't shake the thought of Socks. He wondered if she was still on his porch or if she had wandered off. Upon returning home a couple of hours later, his heart sank when he didn't see her. The blanket lay undisturbed, and there was no sign of the tiny kitten who had so quickly stolen his heart. Resigned, he consoled himself with the thought that at least she had eaten and might find her way back. An hour later, as he settled in for the evening, Manning heard the faintest of meows coming from his door. His heart leaped as he opened it to find Socks looking up at him with those same hopeful eyes. "I nearly died, it was so cute," he later recounted. It was as if she had decided that this was her home and he was her person. Manning couldn't have agreed more. The next day, Manning decided to take Socks to the veterinarian. He wanted to check if she had a microchip that might lead them to her original owner. The vet confirmed that she wasn't chipped and estimated her age to be around 6 months. While this was good news in terms of potentially keeping her, it also brought up a significant concern. Manning was highly allergic to cats. He remembered how, as a child, his family had to give up their own cat because of his severe allergies. The thought of having to part with Socks weighed heavily on him. On the drive back from the vet, his throat began to tighten, a clear sign that his allergies were acting up. At that point, for my own safety, I decided I'd give her to someone else, Manning recalled. He began reaching out to friends and colleagues to find Socks a new home. A coworker expressed interest in adopting Socks, and arrangements were made. However, as the day approached for Socks to leave, Manning found himself growing increasingly attached. He decided to try over-the-counter allergy medication as a last resort. To his relief and surprise, the medication worked wonders. "I was in love," he admitted. With his allergies under control, there was no longer a reason to give her up. So she was home, he declared with joy. Socks seemed to sense that this was now her permanent home. She began to explore the house more confidently, her initial nervousness fading away. The once skinny kitten started to fill out, her coat became shinier, and the fleas were a thing of the past. Manning took pleasure in watching her transform from a timid stray into a playful, affectionate companion. They spent their days getting to know each other. Socks loved to chase after toys, pounce on shadows, and curl up next to Manning during his downtime. She was no longer interested in going outside, preferring the comfort and safety of her new home. Manning couldn't have been happier. Despite the initial hurdles, everything seemed to fall into place. The account's description read, "Socks Desiree Manning. I'm just a little kitty who grew up on the street." Manning often reflected on how much Socks had changed since that first day. Watching her go from a bone-thin, lethargic baby covered in fleas into this little pounce machine has been so rewarding, he shared. Socks was not just a pet, she was family. Her transformation was a testament to the power of love and care. "She's a little sweetie, loves meeting new people, and is full of energy," Manning proudly stated. Socks had become an integral part of his life, filling his days with joy and laughter. They even ventured outside together, with Socks comfortably walking on a leash, a rare feat for a cat. It was clear that Manning had embraced his role as a cat dad wholeheartedly. Their journey wasn't without challenges. Manning had to manage his allergies diligently, ensuring that both he and Socks remained healthy. Regular cleaning, air purifiers, and consistent medication became part of his routine. But to him, these were small sacrifices compared to the happiness Socks brought into his life. Friends and family noticed the positive impact Socks had on Manning. He seemed more content, his demeanor lighter. The simple act of caring for another being had enriched his life in ways he hadn't anticipated. Socks, in turn, thrived under his care, growing into a confident and affectionate cat. Some shared their own stories of adopting stray animals, while others expressed how Manning and Socks had inspired them to consider pet adoption. The duo became advocates for animal rescue, highlighting the rewards of giving a home to an animal in need. Manning emphasized that while adopting a pet comes with responsibilities, the mutual love and companionship are invaluable. Their stories served as a reminder of the profound connections that can form when we open our hearts. As months turned into years, Manning and Socks continued to create cherished memories. They celebrated milestones together, birthdays, holidays, and the simple joys of everyday life. Socks had become more than just a pet. She was a source of comfort and unwavering companionship. Manning often thought back to that fateful day when a tiny kitten decided to follow him home. He marveled at how a spontaneous decision to stop and engage with her had led to such a meaningful relationship. It was a twist of fate that neither of them could have predicted. Manning took his role as Socks' caretaker seriously. He educated himself on proper nutrition, regular veterinary care, and enrichment activities to keep her stimulated. Their home was filled with toys, scratching posts, and cozy spots for Socks to lounge. They developed routines that both looked forward to: morning cuddles, playtime sessions, and quiet evenings together. Manning often contemplated how different life would be if he hadn't stopped that day. The simple act of acknowledging Socks had set off a chain of events that enriched both their lives. It reinforced his belief in being present and open to the world around him. Their story also highlighted the plight of stray animals and the impact that kindness can have. By choosing to care for Socks, Manning didn't just change her life, he also found fulfillment and joy that might have otherwise remained undiscovered. The journey of Manning and Socks is a heartwarming reminder of how unexpected encounters can lead to profound connections. From a chance meeting on the street to building a life together, their story exemplifies the beauty of compassion and the unexpected joys that come with opening one's heart. Socks transformed from a frightened, malnourished kitten into a vibrant, loving companion, all because one person chose to care. Manning, despite his allergies and initial uncertainties, found a friend who brought immeasurable joy into his life. Their tale continues to inspire others, proving that sometimes the best things in life happen when we least expect them. And for Manning and Socks, that random day on the street was the beginning of a beautiful friendship that would touch the hearts of people around the world.